Hello everyone and welcome to 1 Week Reviews. I'm Tower, that's Brimstorm, that's Griff, and that's Ninth. And today we are going to be reviewing Jedi Fallen Order. I said the title right? Right guys? Yes.
Yeah. I think so.
I think so. Cool. I totally know what I'm doing today. And we have been, so for those of you who don't know, here at 1 Week Reviews, we get a group of people together from the NSC, Night Show community, and we all play the same game for a week. And then afterwards, we get our pros and cons together and give a community score on what we think the game would be out of 10 in good quality versus bad quality and why. So, also, before we get started, make sure to, if you enjoy Brimstorm's commentary, to check out under the video. There will be links for his Twitch channel and YouTube channel below the video. So that is something cool that you can see. Alright, well, with that being said, we're going to get right into it today, starting with Brimstorm. Pros, cons, go wild, my friend.
Pros right off the bat. BD1, best part of the game, hands down. Like, as soon as he got introduced, I was like, okay, here we go. I'm in. I like this. The story's good. It's got it's very cinematic. It feels like you're in the movie in certain points of the game, especially when you're traveling to the destinations. I don't know why I have to sit every time I have to go to a destination, but it does feel like you're in a ship at that point. It feels like you're a starting Jedi. It feels like you're just learning how you don't know how to do everything. You're kind of remembering it or whatever. It feels like you're not like all powerful, and it feels like you're being trained as you go along. So it's a nice little nod to it. The voice acting, the music, the exploration with collecting. I like to collect items. I like getting all the little different outfits and stuff like that. All that's perfect for me. I love that part of the game. On to the cons, I have some frame rate issues, and I shouldn't have the frame rate issues I'm having because I dropped it all the way down to medium. I followed guides to set up my frame rate issues. Still having issues. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now on Ultra. No frame rate issues. I shouldn't be having this issue for a big blockbuster game like this. The camera's wonky. I don't know why the camera is messing up so bad because this is the same company that does Mass Effect and Dragon Age. No issues with that. But on this one, sometimes I invert my controls. I don't know if anybody else does. But sometimes when I invert my controls and I push up to look down, it looks up instead. So it doesn't reverse my stuff. It constantly just flip-flops back and forth. I am using a controller. I don't know if anybody else had that issue or not, but I did run into the issue pretty frequently. So much so that I kept checking my options to see if I had somehow reverted it or accidentally pushed it again when I was changing something. The combat. The enemies are cheap in this game. If you get blocked in a loop, especially on the harder difficulties, if you miss a block and one person hits you and it knocks you down, you're stuck there on the harder difficulties. On the easier difficulties, you can sometimes get out of it, not that big of an issue, but there's one spot where it's on the first level. I forget where exactly it's at in the level, but there's a rocket trooper, I think 4 or 5 regular stormtroopers that just shooting the lasers, and 2 or 3 guys with the stun batons or whatever. If that rocket soldier hits you, those guys with the stun batons will just wear you out. You can't even get up certain times. It's just whatever the game locks you in. That just feels cheap and unfair. The jumping puzzles. Again, I'm not a fan of jumping puzzles, but the jumping puzzles weren't bad itself. It's when they're compared with sometimes the camera angles. Sometimes the camera doesn't want to go where you want it to go. It does have a nice auto jump feature where you or not auto jump, auto grab feature in the options where if you have a problem using your button to grab, it will grab for you. I love that because I turned that on. It was a very nice feature. And then the last 2 things I have is the elevators are really slow. So if you get one, it might as well be a long loading scene because it's just, you might as well just put me in a black screen because that's all I'm doing is sitting there looking at the screen for 5-10 seconds waiting to go to sleep on it. And the map designs definitely needs to travel like fast travel because there is so much backtracking in this game, especially if you're trying to get stuff. You unlock like the force push. When you get that, you have to go back and unlock this and this and this. You have to travel so far to get to where you need to get all the little add-ons and stuff. It definitely needed a fast travel option that wasn't indicated in the game. But I think that's about it. I'm pretty sure I got everything covered there.
Okay. Cool, cool. Thank you, Brim. Griff! Pros and cons, my friend.
So cons, I gotta follow up first off with the fast travel issue, especially with the first map that you're on, the first planet. It really feels like it's made up of a bunch of circuits, basically, a bunch of circles that you can only go one direction in. So if you go down the start of one of them, you have to go around the whole rest of the circuit to get back to where you came from. And with that, like there are some things you get later on that solve that issue, but I'm on like the fifth or sixth major story objective before I got those. And I think the good solution could be when you go to the meditation points, which are your save point, um, skill level up, and health regen and all that. If you could teleport between your unlocked meditation points during that, maybe you have a detriment to it of like when you die to an enemy, you will forfeit all of the XP that you have gained that has not gone into a skill point. I think that would be a good way to balance it so that, yes, you can do it and you can go around and collect stuff, but it's not entirely without drawback to it. Um, and again, with the upgrades you get later on, which allow you to avoid the issues of these one direction circuits, um, until you get those, the kind of open world style that they have built for this conflicts with these linear circuits. It just doesn't feel right. Um, However, also with that, past the first planet, the map design feels much, much better because there are still some of those circuits, but it is much more open to where there's connections between the different paths you can take. And so, like, especially once I got to Kashyyyk, Kashyyyk felt really good, really well done. Um, Another issue that I had for because I was playing on the Jedi Master, which is the equivalent of hard difficulty, the menus felt really slow, especially when I was going to fight a boss, dying, having to respawn. I would spend 15 to 30 seconds in menus every time I died. Um, then with the elevators, again, those are much longer than they need to be for gameplay. Um, Another thing that has to go with character design this time. Grease, who's your pilot, he has 4 arms, but the animations for him feel very lazy because his second set of arms just mirrors his main set of arms. And that's all they do. There's no ingenuity with it, where the 2 sets of arms will do different things, which I would expect someone who is born with that many limbs to be able to do. And that would feel like something natural to them. As for pros, though, graphics very good, very much so draws you in, and again makes you feel like you're in a movie almost. The later maps feel very good. Kashyyyk especially, I've spent 3 hours of gameplay on there, I think. And just between getting the look of it down, having the tie-ins to the Clone Wars, where you'll see the Rex around still, even though this is 5 years after the rise of the Empire. The enemies, well, I guess more so than just the enemies, the creatures there feel like they would fit. Like, looking at it from the movies, I wouldn't think, oh yes, there are these horrendous creatures all across the planet which are extremely dangerous. But once you run into them, it's like, oh yeah, that feels right. That would explain a lot about Kashyyyk and the Wookiees. And I guess a callback to our review on Star Wars Squadrons. Unlike that game, the Imperials feel like they have that professional edge between them. Like, you'll have like squad mates, yeah, they'll banter, but whenever there's a rank difference, there is always that professional edge to it. And that really sold me on getting me immersed, because that issue from Star Wars Squadrons was not dragging me out of the immersion at all.
Cool.
Lucky.
Anything else?
That's what comes to mind.
All right. Ninth.
All right, for the pros, I had to put it on the easiest difficulty setting, but I do not play these kind of games, these parkour, jumping games, and I was still able to get through it without, some trouble, but not too much. And I was using a controller. I'll talk more about that in my cons, but I liked the story. The story was great. That's definitely a pro. I liked the characters. They felt kind of realistic. I liked kind of the design of it. It was kind of grimy. I liked that. Mm-hmm. I don't like the super clean game, especially in the beginning when you're cutting all the stuff up. It just looks like, they actually put some thought into it. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed that. The other pros that I had, wielding a saber in this game felt like you were actually wielding a saber. It was a cool combat system, and I enjoyed that. I also thought that the companion was great. The robot, I call him Robbie because it reminds me of the Nintendo one, but I think it was like BD1 or something. I liked him. I liked when I realized when I was doing the zip lines that what I was actually doing was using BD1 as the as the piece to zip line across. You know.
Yeah.
As for my cons, I had issues on the PC setting up my controller. So, I didn't want to play it with mouse and keyboard. So I actually went to the PS4 version that I had, on the PS4 and played it on there. And playing this with a controller, I think I would have had trouble with this game without a controller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As for other cons, it seemed like you were going back and forth a bit in terms of the planets. And as far as I knew, there was no fast travel system.
Yeah, there's not.
There is not.
Okay, yeah, that's a con for me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just the genre of the game. I would have enjoyed it more if this was like a a KOTOR type game, but it wasn't. So but also, as far as I know, there was no multiplayer in any of this, right?
No.
It would have been fun to do some of the stuff with a group.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I have for the pros and the cons.
All right. Thank you, Knight. All right. Now for me. I'm going to start with my pros. All right. I should preface this with, I am not good at these type of games. The moment I realized that this game had a bunch of puzzles and stuff, I cranked the difficulty way down because I know myself. I am not good at puzzles. And I knew that I would probably spend hours on puzzles that would take these guys like 10 minutes to figure out. So, with that in mind, I played on the lowest difficulty because of that, because I wanted to actually play through a decent amount of the content, and there was no way I was going to. I spent so much time on puzzles that that's a me thing. That's not a game design thing. That's a me thing. But that being said, I really enjoyed the combat. Lightsaber, like Ninth was saying, it felt like a lightsaber. It felt heavy enough but light enough at the same time in your actions and your combos and your movement. I don't know about the higher difficulties, but I really liked how on the difficulty I was on, when I sliced a stormtrooper like with a lightsaber, he didn't keep fighting me unless he was one of the more armored guys. Like any of the basic ones, like you hit them, they're down. I loved how like force push and the force stun worked. Because, like, basically, it didn't matter, except for, like, major bosses, I believe. It didn't really matter what you were fighting. Even, like, the mini-bosses, you could still use your force powers on them, which made you kind of feel like a Jedi still. Because I hate in games when, like, you have force push or force slow, but because it's a CC, game mechanic-wise, it just stops working. And it's always just kind of like, well, this, like... So I've got a few stormtroopers running up on me. I want to push them out of the way and fight this main guy. Well, in this game, you can do that. You can be like, push, 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 fight one guy. Roll over to the other one. I managed to get my double-bladed lightsaber early, which apparently you can get on Kashyyyk and Dathomar. I got it on Dathomar, didn't know you could get it on Kashyyyk. And so I was using that basically the whole time, which was really fun too, because I think they designed that really well. What do I got next? The story so far, now I'm on Kashyyyk right now. The story so far has been really epic. I really enjoyed the story aspect of the game. Like Griff and Brim and I believe Ninth have all said, it feels like a movie, but in a good way. Because there's sometimes where a game feels like a movie and it's a bad thing because it doesn't feel like a game at all. This feels like a very immersive movie to me in regard to the story. The lightsaber customization, I really like how that works. I really like that you slowly unlock the different handles and stuff. I'm yet to actually find a fourth crystal, but I'm working on it. But I found a bunch of the other parts, which has been cool. And the unlocks overall are really... I would say that I kind of wish that the the jacket and the poncho, I kind of wish that there was more jacket options without the poncho. I know there is some you can get, but like comparatively to the amount of ponchos you seem to find, it's way less than the amount of jackets you find, because I don't like the giant poncho. It's kind of weird to me. So I ended up running no poncho for the whole thing, basically, after the tutorial mission. Let's And it's just a very beautiful game aesthetically, and music, art, the sound design of the weapons. Like when I hear I'm not looking at a stormtrooper. I hear a blaster shot. I got so in tune with it that I was able to block the blaster shot, time it right, based on hearing it from when it got shot at me, which just kind of felt good. Oh, I think my thing's messing up, isn't it? Yep, my thing's messing up. Oh, of course. Oh, God. One moment. Hello?
There we go.
Hello, you are back.
Oh, God. What's the last thing you heard?
We could hear it. It was just robotic.
Oh, because I couldn't hear you guys at all. I noticed because I saw Brim's mouth moving.
No. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was me to start with, and it was yours.
Yeah. Give me one sec. I got to make sure it's still recording properly. Because usually when we have this issue, we have a audio recording. Why don't you try talking?
Hello.
Okay. So OBS says it's still working.
Okay.
Okay. What was the last thing y'all heard?
We heard everything.
Oh yeah. You heard everything. Okay.
Heard it all. It's just robotic voice.
Okay. All right. It shouldn't be robot-y on this end.
Yep.
Okay. So continuing on. So yeah, the art, beautiful. Has a very beautiful artistic and sound design aesthetic that I really like. I thought that was very good from a design point. But that being said, on to the cons. Everyone's favorite part. Letting you go places you can't actually accomplish. I get that this is supposed to be an exploratory game, but there is nothing I find more annoying in a game like this than when I walk up to something. It's very obviously a secret area or the next area you need to go to in the zone. Like, they make it brain dead obvious that even as someone who is terrible at puzzles like me can figure it out. But you just can't do it. There's nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do to make it work. That is so annoying to me. I hate it. I hate that. I really do. I don't necessarily know what an answer would be, but I hate that. It's really annoying to me. You guys have said it. I'm going to say it again because this game deserves to be slapped in the face over this. Where is the fast travel? Where is the fast travel? Why is it that I finish a mission and I have to walk all the way back for no reason at all? They don't even do anything with it half the time. Sometimes they put a new enemy on the path, but most of the time it's the same spawns. Why? Take Griff's idea. You lose XP for your current skill progression, or when you die, or something like that. But whatever, like, something! Fast travel between meditation points. It seems like a natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like that was the design. Why isn't it there? What idiot was like, well, we need to be more hardcore, so you know what? These meditation points can't fast travel. Like,
But I mean, hey, another way you could do it would be like, go with my idea and scale it with the difficulties. So if you're on the easiest difficulty, there's no downside. If you're on the hardest difficulty, I would say, yeah, go ahead. They can't use it.
yeah. Yeah, and I could see that on the hardest difficulty, but like, it's just
not having it at all.
It's so annoying. It is such an annoying lack of a feature that, in my opinion, especially with how much they make you go back and forth, like, every time I stopped playing the game was because I didn't want to walk my butt back somewheres that I just came from, because I'm super immersed, I'm super into it, I'm fighting, I'm figuring out the puzzles somehow, and then, oh well, now it's time to walk back to the spaceship across 10 minutes of walking.
Travel simulator.
Yay. Also, that brings me to the next thing. I kind of hate the map. Not sure how you guys feel about it. I hate it. I think they were trying to go for like an aesthetic with it being a hologram. It doesn't work as a map for me. I mean, I understood it, but comparatively to like most of the time when I use a map in a game, I just didn't like it. It was very confusing for me. I found myself the only thing that really saved it for me was that if there was an area I hadn't gone to that I could go to, they highlighted it yellow. That is the only reason I had any idea where I was going at any given time. I just looked for the yellow and went that general direction. But I still hated the whole layout of it. Keyboard is definitely a secondary idea in the controls for this game. And it annoys me. Because, like, I have my controller somewhere on my desk here in my little corner, but I'm getting ready to move to Florida. The cord for the controller is in a box, so I couldn't use it. The one time I would have reviewed a game with a controller, which says how controller towards this game is, because I normally don't. It's just really frustrating that they didn't like accommodate. I mean, you can re-keybind things, but so I hate the logic that because you can re-keybind things, it makes it okay to have bad keybinds as a default. Like, I think, what was it? There's like, what was it that was keybound to Z by default? Do you remember, Griff? Or did you use a controller?
I used controller.
So I was the only one that used mouse and keyboard. Okay, well, there's just like, it was just bad. I had to re-keybind everything. It was annoying. Luckily, I have a few buttons on my mouse, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have even been using my force powers half the time, because my hands are terrible, which is why I wear these things. Yeah, so that was kind of annoying. And those things definitely docked at some points for me, because otherwise it was, in my opinion, a great experience. That being said, now we're going to go on to the score 1 to 10 and why, starting with Brimstorm.
I'm going to give it a 6. I think that's a fair score. It's an average game. It's above average game, but it's not spectacular. There's so many other games that have done the elements that's wrong with this game better. Like, you've got Assassin's Creed that does climbing, the jumping, the frame rate. It's better than this game. You've got Mass Effect with all its stuff. Same developers. Still, the combat and the flow of everything feels better in that game. So it doesn't feel like a top tier game. It feels like above that average in the middle there. So I'm going to give it a 6. I think that's fair for this game.
Okay. Cool. Griff, 1 to 10 and why?
Well, I think I'm going to give it a 7 because it does do a lot of things really well. And there's just a few things in there which wouldn't take that much to fix, which would, in my mind, bring it up to an 8 or a 9. And it wouldn't be that hard, but they haven't done it, so it's only getting a 7 from me.
Okay. Cool. All right. 9th, 1 to 10 and why?
I think I can comfortably go 6 on this. I did enjoy it. Not sure I'm going to finish it. I may get the story from watching a video. You know, I like the story. I like the characters, all of that. But, you know, I'll give it a 6 because I should have hated this kind of game, and I did not.
Yeah, and that says a lot. All right. For me, 6.5. I'll go between Griff and everyone else. I definitely think, actually no, 6. This is a 6. It's above average, but there's just a lot, especially like listening to you guys and like also like rehashing my own thoughts. there's a lot of things that should have been fixed. Things that seem very easy to fix, very obvious to fix, that just aren't. Like fast travel. I mean, that feels like a natural, or like Griff's idea about fast travel and the scaling with the different, like, we came up with that in a week. It feels like, and we were all playing differently. We're all very different gamers. We all kind of came to that same general conclusion. Is that correct? I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. Everyone kind of agrees with Griff's idea on fast travel.
Yep.
Like, it just kind of seems like a natural thing, and that's the thing with a lot of the problems in this game. A lot of the problems in this game feel very naturally, like, through playing the game, you would see this and be like, hey, maybe we change this up just a little bit for the players so they can enjoy it, and leave the hardcore option for the hardcore. Like, that's just my take on it. So it's not bad. It is by no means a bad game. It's not average. It is above average, and it could be an 8 for me if a lot of the stuff was fixed. But it's not today, and today's the day we are reviewing it. So all right, so with that being said, we've got a 6, 6, 6, and 7. I think that is the closest we've ever come to a whole group in alignment.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So what is our total and what is our group average?
Total is 25. You divide it by 4, you get 6 1/4.
All right. So 6 1/4 out of 10 is the review score. Thank you everyone for watching this week's episode of 1 Week Reviews. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and also in your comments talk about why Griff was wrong, because Tower can never be. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to our patrons, and we will see you all next time here at 1 Week Reviews. Bye! Also, next time you guys see me in the video, I won't be in this corner!